Now, the green splash here for Wen, as he does play a swamp before passing the turn back, is for Abrupt Decay, is for the charms in the sideboard. Also, 2 scavenging uses in the main deck.
All right, so he has scavenging uses in the main deck. One of the questions will be how many, does he have any Bio Blights? He does have Abrupt Decay in the main. Usually Abrupt Decay comes at the expense of Bio Blight.
I see 1 Blight in the sideboard. Of course, we'll turn our attention to the sideboard after this first game, but Ross is going to start off with a Rakdos Cackler. And the funny thing here is if you're familiar with Tom, you know what he's up to. He's always playing an aggressive deck. You're not going to see an island on the other side of the table. I can promise you that much. So Rakdos Cackler is where the show does get started. Ross is going to pick up another Cackler for the turn. His deck, not many lands. Looks like only 17.
Yeah, 17. His lands column is 17 basic mountains. Which,
no interest in Mutavault either.
No interest in Mutavault. As soon as it's Cackler, it will get Devour Fleshed. What I want to see if I'm Tom is to have multiple 1-drops. If you play lots of 1-drops, then the black-green strategy of playing 1-for-1 removal is really taxed.
Well, you asked for it and you got it. Foundry Denizen and a Rakdos Cackler come down here for Ross. He's got 1 more land in his hand and then a couple of spells. Looks like Wen may be stumbling. This is a Pack Rat, and oddly enough, as good as Pack Rat is, it's a card that red decks do not care about. It's so easy for him to overwhelm it.
Yeah, and Tom's hand is just terrifying. So he has Ashes Out, Lightning Strike, Titan Strength, and Dragon Mantle as the remaining cards in his hand.
Nobody does it like the boss.
I think he's probably one of the only players playing Dragon Mantles this weekend.
I have a feeling you're right about that. Ashelt's going to come in here. Foundry Denizen is going to pump. Pack Rat can't block fast enough. So 4 damage will come across over to Wen. Ross looks like he's going to follow this up with a Mountain, perhaps?
Yeah, I imagine he'll go ahead and make the Dragon Mantle this turn. Bernie Wen's tapped out. He doesn't have to worry about getting 2 for 1. Yeah, get a free card.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on the Ashelt, draw a card, and simply pass the turn back. So now he has a Mana Sink available. Looks like Wen picked up a copy of Temple of Malady. And this is one of the ways that you can actually take advantage of this deck. Ross trying to go under Black-Green Devotion, but Black-Green Devotion has lands that come into play tapped. Wen missed his 3rd land drop and essentially missed it again because this one came into play tapped.
Yeah, Tom's deck's doing a great job of exploiting some of the weaknesses in Black-Green Devotion. First thing he does is he's making some of his cards dead. You see there's an Underworld Connections in Wen's hand. That is just not a card in this matchup.
Yeah.
You can't afford to be tapping 3 to not alter the board, and you really can't afford to be paying life. But what I like about it is also cards like Ashlet in conjunction with Dragon Mantle even take away some of the favorable blocks that Wen could have. If he has something like, a Scavenging Ooze that could pump up to a 3, suddenly that's not good enough anymore.
Ross attacks there for 4. 2 pumps with the Dragon Mantle is going to make it 6. Wen is down to 10 of Foundry Denizen after combat and simply passing the turn back. A lot of people talk about how do you beat Black-Green Devotion or these Black Devotion decks in general. You can go over the top like Thompson and others are doing with Green Devotion and Nykthos, or you can go underneath them like Ross is trying to do here with this Boss Slide deck. And so far, it is working.
Yeah, he's doing the trick quite well. Wen had a Desecration Demon, opted not to play it here. I don't really think he can play it. If he does, he'll get a sacrifice from Foundry Street Denizen to tap it and a ton of damage, which coupled with the Lightning Strike would even be lethal.
Rakdos Cackler going to come in. You see the pre-combat to pump the Foundry Street Denizen, and Tom says, all right, I'm going to attack with everybody. Your move, Bernie. And what I like about here is Tom is just going to simply wait to pick his spot.
Yep, goes ahead and takes the Ash Zealot. I like the patience on Tom's side because there's mana up. He didn't pump the Ash Zealot. He was willing to just deal only 6 damage. So now he's going to see whether Bernie has another removal spell.
I wonder if this is the best Titan Strain target simply because of ultimate price. You take a look at the removal spells over here for Bernie. It is only Abrupt Decay and Devour Flesh he has access to, and then Hero's Downfall, which is a little bit too expensive. Also, you just can't really like Hero's Downfall in this matchup. 3 mana to take care of a 1-mana creature. No thank you.
Yeah, a couple different considerations. I think he went with a Foundry Street, so if he lost the creature, he would lose 1. If he lost his worst, he would lose his worst creature. Sure. But either way, he has enough damage. Bernie's at 3, Tom has a Lightning Strike and a Shock in hand. You have to think he's going to get it on the next turn.
And you know, I trust the boss. I think he knows what he's doing with the old Titan Strength and where he's supposed to target that bad boy. So again, you did mention Wen is down to 3. Wen has a Thoughtseize, and I figured we'd see him fire this off. This is called the old Information Thoughtseize. What exactly do you have? All right, you have a Shock and a Lightning Strike. That's good to know. I will take one of these cards, or at least look at these cards, and pack it up and move on to the next game. So Tom Ross with Boss Sly up a game here over Bernie Wen playing Black-Green Devotion. Looked pretty easy there.
I'd have taken the Shock.
Yeah?
Be like, well, it's my only play. Got to take the Shock. Your go.
We're going to take a look at sideboards. I've got Win in front of me, so I'm looking at 3 Duress, 2 Doomblade, an Ultimate Price, 2 Farika's Cure, 2 Erebos God of the Dead, a Scavenging Ooze, a Vraska the Unseen, 2 Golgari Charms, and Vile Blight. As bad as game 1 was, things look to get a lot better now.
I mean, sideboarding is pretty easy for Bernie. Basically, you look at your cards, and everything that has the smallest converted mana cost, you just start putting all those in. The challenge for Bernie is to play spells as fast as Thomas is playing them.
Yeah, again, you're going to see a lot of trading of resources here, but the thing for Win is that his cards cost more than Tom's, so it's not favorable as far as mana efficiency is concerned. But hey, it's what gets the job done.
Yeah, and he has a pretty good sideboard for this matchup. So 2 Doomblades, an Ultimate Price, 2 Vile Blight, and 2 Golgari Charms. That is 6 2-mana kill spells.
Farika's Cure as well. He's got 2 of those.
He has 8 2-mana.
Yeah.
8 2-mana kill spells.
So I like what I see here. You can throw in 3 Duress, maybe. There's also a Scavenging Ooze as well. A lot of cards are going to be coming in and out here for Win. You've got Ross's sideboard in front of you. What do you see there?
Well, Ross's sideboard, he has a lot of different options. He has 4 Skull Cracks. Those can come in against Black Devotion, just helps stave off a Gray Merchant, but I don't think they're particularly good here. Other cards that he has seem to be for different matchups, so I'll run through the cards he has because he has a pretty interesting deck. He has Eidolon of the Great Revel, Mizium Mortars, Magma Spray, Skullcrack, Lightning Strike, Searing Blood, Seismic Stomp, that one's great, Harness by Force, an extra Mutavault, and a Peak Eruption. I don't think many of these are particularly good for the matchup. A lot of these are for creature decks or for red decks. He may go for Eidolon of the Great Revel. That's one, if you expect your opponent to overload on 2-mana kill spells, Eidolon is guaranteed damage, so I like that card here. I think everything else is pretty take it or leave it.
Yeah, I don't expect a lot of cards to come in here for Ross, and the reason that I don't expect a lot to come in here for Ross is simply put, his matchup against this deck is quite good. So I don't expect to see, cards that are dedicated to beat Mono Black because he doesn't really need them. He doesn't really need those cards. Now, one card that Tom actually does have in his main deck, and he wrote about this week for his article on Star City, is Blinding Flare. It is the Strive spell that makes it so that creatures cannot block, which I'm hoping that he has a Blinding Flare story of him blowing someone out with that card. It is one of his deck, but it is a pretty unique one.
I will say I had to look at the card and remember what it was. Like, oh, it's that thing that you get in draft sometimes.
Yeah, 13th or 14th pick. Not that this matters all that much. Some people will take the land over that card, but Tom Ross, he'll make use of it.
Yeah, this isn't the matchup for it, I don't think. Black-Green Devotion, especially after sideboard, has very few creatures. But
yeah, I don't expect to see him use that here to any effect. It is, I imagine, again, that he's used it to some effect more for your Monsters-esque matchups, of course. So both players going to finish shuffling up here. Again, Bernie Wynn down a game, Black-Green Devotion versus Boss Sly. He'll be on the play for game number 2. Rough road ahead, I think, here for Bernie, but things do certainly get better after sideboard. But one thing to keep in mind, I think this is very important, Matthias, is that Tom Ross was able to win game 1 when he was on the draw. That means he was able to break serve, and the place he wants to be is on the play for game 3.
Right, so Bernie's gonna have to win a game on the draw back to get the match, which is a lot harder, as you mentioned. Tom's deck, with 21 drops, he's almost guaranteed a triple 1-drop start, or at least a double 1-drop start. And those starts on the play can just be very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, it's a scary, scary deck to play against when you're playing Black-Green Devotion. I think it's scary if you're playing any Black Devotion deck, honestly, especially when you don't have Drown in Sorrow, which I think Tom correctly predicted that people would not have that this weekend. Even though some aggressive decks did quite well in Providence, Ross Merriam winning with Mono Blue, 2 Mono Black Devotion decks in the top 8, as well as Mono Red from Gino Bautista in the finals. Thing is, I still didn't expect a lot of Drown in Sorrows, even though that was the case, simply because the Invitational metagame, you don't see it littered with a lot of hyper-aggressive decks.
No, you're absolutely right. Because Bernie does not have Drown in Sorrows, this matchup's actually putting a lot of pressure on those 2 Golgari Charms he's boarded in. Despite the fact that Bernie has a lot of 2-mana removal spells, he doesn't have a way to 2-for-1 with any of them. They're all 1-for-1s, with the exception of Golgari Charm. Golgari Charm has the potential to get more than 2 creatures, and if Bernie gets behind on the board, he'll need to do that effect.
Again, we've got 453 players playing in our Invitational this weekend, our largest Invitational ever. So X3 looks like the place you've got to be. If either player picks up a loss, whoever picks up a loss, because obviously one is going to be doled out, that's probably the last loss they can get on the day if they want a top 8. Wynn looks like he's happy. Ross is happy as well. We're underway here with just the swamp and passing the turn back over to Ross, who draws a card for the turn. It is a copy of Rakdos' Cackler. You imagine here, Matthias, for Wynn, it's all about just on turn 2, kill something. On turn 3, kill something. On turn 4, hopefully the board is stable.
Yeah. We see a Founder Street Denizen starting from Ross. And yeah, Bernie can, there's no way Bernie can have too many kill spells here. What'll be challenging for him is to have kill spells and then eventually have that follow-up threat as well. He does not have too many creatures that are great to stabilize with right now.
A Rakdos Cackler is going to pump the Founder Street Denizen. Looks like this is going to be maybe perhaps in response to the Cackler. Wynn would like to maybe cast a Devour Flesh, it feels like.
Yeah, he wants to guarantee he's getting Founder Street Denizen.
I think that's pretty important. Make sure you get that thing off the table. Just keep your life total high. Don't take any damage, as Ross is just going to pass the turn back without playing a land. But a 17-land deck, you have to expect this is going to be the case quite a bit, as Wynn is going to play a second Mutavault. So maybe a little bit of mana problems here for Wynn.
It depends on how much removal he has. You know, I believe he has a Hero's Downfall, so that's going to be hard to cast. Ross did draw a Mutavault for the turn, which isn't really a land in his deck. It came out of the board. You would say it's a land except for the fact that all his spells, I don't think any of them have colorless mana symbols in them for the most part.
No. Rakdos Cackler's going to trade with the Mutavault. That feels like a win if you're Tom.
In fact, Madcap Skills is the only card in his deck that has a colorless mana symbol in it.
I would be surprised if that card's in his deck after sideboard, just because you don't want to get 2 for 1. Yes, it can do a nice job winning the game, but you do not want to get 2 for 1. As now, here's a Thoughtseize. Wynn knows that, all right, Ross has all spells, so let's take a look at those 5 spells. Another Fire Drink Crusader, a Lightning Strike, an Ash Zealot, a Titan Strength, and an Eidolon of the Great Revel.
Stand Corrected Lightning Strike also has a colorless mana symbol in it. But yeah, a bunch of red spells. What I like actually what Bernie's done here, normally you wouldn't think that Thoughtseize would be good against a Sly deck. Taking 2 damage sounds really bad. But I actually think it's pretty decent because it costs 1. It's that the thing that Sly capitalizes on is it just plays a lot more spells than its opponent. It plays things faster. So as Bernie can get things out of its hand, it is a 1-for-1 in some ways.
There are some costs to be paid, of course, to life, but, you know, you take Lightning Strike, for example, it seems like a war that you've won. Same thing can be said of Titan Strength. We can't forget the amount of information that you gain here.
Yeah, it helps grind him down. There are some, as you said, some downsides. For example, it's not actually creating any board presence, so if you're behind on the board, Thoughtseize won't recover you, but it does progress you toward this end game faster. You know, eventually, Ross is going to run out of cards. He's playing them so fast.
Lightning Strike, the card selected. A Mutavault gets put into play. And Ross drew a copy of Madcap Skills. And I imagine, yeah, I'm going to fire this bad boy up. Because basically what this is kind of a glorified Lava Axe at this point.
Yeah. And because Bernie Wen only has colorless mana, Ross can do this safely. And I don't think he's too concerned about Fire Drinker Satyr dying. In fact, he probably expects it.
Yeah, but he got his value with
right.
the card. And he got his value with Madcap Skills too. So again, it's all about small wins. And if you add up enough small wins over the course of the game, that ends up being a big win.
Yeah, Bernie went in a tough spot. You see both Hero's Downfall and Farika's Cure hanging out his hand, along with Bioblight. So once he hits that second swamp, he is online, but will he have any life points left when that happens?
Oh, the boss, you saw his face. He said, I guess I'll try it again. Went to, all right, I'll take it again. Down to 8. I did not expect Madcap Skills to get the job done here. You see, Ross is going to play another Fire Drinker. So that one's a little risky because of Bioblight, but
yeah, I was going to say I was interested that he played it. I guess his other plays are Titan Strength, and he doesn't have another creature he can make.
And he's certainly not going to be waiting around either. That's the other thing, too. Another Fire Drinker Crusader was the draw. Ross going to take a look at the life totals here. It makes you wonder if he's going to go for the kill or not.
Yeah, last turn, he didn't swing with Mutavault because he was expecting the Satyr to die. Now he knows the Satyr isn't dying. Well, he's going to go ahead and swing Mutavault.
Let's get everybody in there. Get as much damage across as he can. In comes the Mutavault. In comes the 5-power Fire Drinker Crusader and the little one, the 2-power one without Madcap Skills. You can see Wynn looking at his hand just saying, if only I could cast these spells. My hand's so good. This is how he's going to block. Going to trade with Mutavault here. Going to take 7, go down to 1. Needs to hope to peel a swamp. And it's just a Doomblade.
Yeah, can't survive the creatures. Certainly can't survive the burn in Tom's hand.
And Wynn is going to show a Bile Blight. Wish that he could cast and show the rest of his hand and concede the game. Tom Ross, in very fast fashion, is going to win this match over Bernie Wynn. 2-0. The boss is at it again with Boss Slide.
Yeah, he's up to